Hello, I'm Alexander K, and welcome to episode 22 of my look at Japanese tech tree in War Thunder. Today I'll be looking at the Kai 43-3. This is a slight change from what would be my sort of regular progression through the tech tree, where I'll be looking at the G4M. This is because, well, with naval forces starting to being released by War Thunder, I thought I would take a look at certainly at least the aircraft in the Japanese tech tree that can be armed with torpedoes at a later date once ships are included, so I can sort of talk about their effectiveness against actual ships, which means I'll be having to take another look at the B5N and probably also the H6K and H8K planes. So, the Kai 43-3, it's armed with a Ha-112, but it's powered by a Ha-112-2 engine. It's the same engine as the preceding aircraft in the tech tree, the Kai 100, which I've talked about before. I will be talking more about in my next episode on the Kai 61 planes again. It's armed with two Ho-5 cannons, each with 150 rounds. In War Thunder, this plane sits at a BR in RB of 4.0. And it's got an incredible climb rate, it's pretty fast, and the armament's not bad, so it can be incredibly fun, but at the same time incredibly frustrating, because, well, as you can see, the cannons on occasion just don't do enough damage, although it's hit and miss. They're a bit like the Type 89s in that respect. You're very manoeuvrable, although, as I'll show in this replay and the next one, your manoeuvrability is very much linked to your speed, and you can sort of see why this plane never really was anything more than a prototype. It can dive, as you can see, but just not as well as a lot of other aircraft. Generally, you want to use your climb rate to get well over your opponents and boom and zoom them, like I am sort of doing here. It gives you the best opportunity to get guns on target. It can dogfight, but I find turn fighting this plane, while obviously it can be very easy, you need to be pretty good at controlling your throttle, because it's only manoeuvrable at around 300 to 400, well, maybe 350 and below. Anything over that, it starts being less manoeuvrable, and it can surprise you, and things like this. LA5FN can actually start getting guns on target, although you can see I'm able to get just under his guns there, although sensibly he doesn't attempt to turn fight me anymore, but in fact dive away. The other massive flaw in this plane is 150 rounds per gun for the Ho-5 cannons. This means you quite often just run out of ammunition, although it is possible to get, it's more than possible to get an ace with the 150 rounds per gun. It's just difficult, and you probably can't get any more kills than that without rearming. So here I'm trying to get a bit more altitude before diving, basically just using the insane manoeuvrability, because it's got an incredible roll rate. It's still very manoeuvrable, although as you can see the speed sort of backfires on me there, as I don't turn quick enough in that loop to get onto the 6, well rather I'm allowing this LA5 to get onto my 6, although as you can see I'm still able to keep just in front of his guns. And with a bit better throttle control on my part, I am actually able to get round and put my nose almost on target there. I just miss. And the flaps are actually relatively strong in this plane, although again, I've seen this plane take a fair amount of punishment, like a ridiculous amount of punishment, but more often than not, one round will hit the ring roots and you'll set on fire, and you can almost never recover from that. Although, again, technically possible, although after you've taken damage, you're nowhere near as manoeuvrable. It does tend to basically lurch over the side a lot more once you've taken any sort of damage. So it's quite understandable why, despite being a really good player in War Thunder, although it takes a bit to learn it beyond just turn fighting in it, I can see why the Japanese never actually continued this plane past the prototype testing stage, because it's just not as good as a lot of the later Japanese army plane designs, like, well, the Kai 100, the Kai 84 in particular, is vastly superior to this plane. Obviously it can't turn as well, and this thing has an absolutely blistering climb rate, but at the same time it's fast, but compared to most of its opponents it's not fast enough, although you can see there's no turbocharger in this engine, for this engine either, so at high altitude you do start to struggle, which sort of mitigates the fact that you've got an insane climb rate. And as you can see, at these sort of high speeds, your manoeuvrability goes down massively, to the extent that that LA5 was actually able to get a hit on there. And as you can see, I did actually survive a 20mm hit to the wing, although that's not common. It's all I can say. People think of Japanese planes as being basically lighter fuel. This is very much true of this plane. So there you can see the acceleration is very good. I'm actually able to keep up with this LO5 at low altitudes, although with only 90 cannon rounds left. And again, I think I'm just hitting with the armor piercing rounds rather than the high explosive, because I'm just not doing that much damage. That and the fact that I can't shoot at all. So here I'm attempting to basically bleed the LA5 speed by making him repeatedly maneuver, because I need to be able to get home relatively safely. So I'm going to chase him for a bit before turning away, trying to get him to commit to some sort of move that will bleed a lot of his speed. You can see here. So turn around, I take my opportunity to turn around and basically book it away. This is actually pretty much the end of this replay. That LA5 goes back to base, and since he was playing in a squad and all of his squad mates are dead, he actually just leaves the game there, which, fair enough, he was good player, didn't want to waste his time with this match. And the last Yak 3 is actually shot down by that Kai 49 over there, which is very amusing, and I'll be looking at the later Kai 49's video coming up. That'll be a while actually, I'll call the naval fighters and the rest of the army fighters force. So next I'll be showing you a match against the Americans, where I do better, but again it shows you the weaknesses of this plane and strengths. So as you can see, I'm already at 5,000 meters. It's a ridiculous climb rate on this plane. It helps if you look in pairs, like I'm going to use other players to bait. I'm going to use the position of other players to bait enemy planes up into the vertical, and then I'll attack them rather than attempting to, just dogfight them, because they're American and they can just dive away from me. So here, for example, this P-51 is coming in to attack a player behind me. I think it's... or is he coming to attack me? He's coming to attack me. Quick bit of rolling, and I honestly don't know what he was doing there. I'm able to get easily onto his 6 and blast his wing off. So as you can see, very hit and miss with these cannons. That LA5 earlier, got a couple of rounds into him on several occasions, nothing. A couple of rounds into a P-51, it's blown up the sky. So I don't want to bleed all my altitude yet, just in case there's any more Americans that I've not spotted that are still at altitude, because, well, I don't want to be boomed zoomed to death, although this P-61 is attempting to gain more altitude and attack my Ki-43s easily. He'll be able to avoid his guns here, and, well, I blow off both booms by the look of it, which is really odd. Which is a nice bait by my Ki-43 there, my squad mate, random squad mate, so compliment him on his baiting ability. And now that I'm pretty sure I've got rid of most of the high Americans, or the Americans on altitude, I start to slowly descend, which is one of the problems of this plane. You can't just dive straight to the deck, because, I mean, you saw earlier when I was diving, you can hit 650 up to 700 kilometers, but you can't maneuver, and I wouldn't want to risk ripping my wings off, so I'm just going to slowly bleed speed. In this sort of spiraling descent, and as you can see, as I do that, the two P-47 tires actually just take on. One of them gets shot down, the other one just takes out my friendly Zero there, and well, here you can see that this is a fast plane, particularly on the deck. And even something like a P-47, if it's not keeping its energy up, will struggle to get away from me. And you can see there again the nature of the gun. We've got quite a few rounds in there, and it took a second burst to finally get rid of his tail. Now here you can see there is another Ki-43 squad mate again, is taking on that P-51. I believe my squad mate is actually out of cannon rounds at this point, which really shows the weakness, and I'm down to less than half of my initial cannon rounds, and I have taken out 3 planes to be fair, but well, the American planes with their 50 cals, 3 planes, they'd still probably have quite a bit of ammunition unless they've been spraying it willy-nilly. So here again you can see the incredible acceleration and speed of the plane due to its powerful engine and lightweight, so I'm actually able to catch this P-51 on the deck. Although this is with a bit of small amount of ammo wastage, I'm able to get into manoeuvre there, thinking that I'm actually going to attempt to spray him down from range, and with him manoeuvring, I'm able to catch up with my decent speed. And you keep your roll rate and such at 100 kilometers an hour, you just sort of start to lose your turning ability. He goes into the vertical, which is probably the worst thing you could do. Although not with me shooting like that. As he slows down, I'm able to get 2 shots in. I've got 58 rounds left. I communicate this to my teammates, although there's only this P-47 left to fight. Although this will show that the high speed, your manoeuvrability really starts to deteriorate, particularly if an enemy like this P-47 is more than willing to start shooting at you from range. So I can see the P-47's going up, so I attempt to get a bit of altitude with him. But as he comes in, he starts shooting from about 1 kilometre away, and while I am trying to do manoeuvres here, you can see I get hit in a wind route there, and immediately set on fire. There's pretty much nothing I can do. The damage I sustained is already pretty serious, and my wind's ripped off. Everything else going to be okay? Thanks for watching.